Welcome to Friday's edition of TimesCast. A report released this morning warns of domestic terror threats.
These attacks are actually harder to detect.
Afghans react to a Florida pastor's wavering threats to burn the Koran.
Muslims will not tolerate this.
A taste of the coming arts season.
This is a big season for rap releases.
Scott Shane from Washington on a new report that says terrorism is more likely to be homegrown than to come from abroad.
A new report out today from the Bipartisan Policy Center in Washington assesses the terrorist threat, and it has some good news and some bad news. The good news is that we have traditionally thought of the terrorist, the extreme terrorist threat as being foreign and being a spectacular attack, a 9/11 style attack with weapons of mass destruction. And they say that's highly unlikely. What they say, though, is that 2009 was a watershed year, and what we're seeing is smaller plots, smaller attacks coming from a much more diverse and a much more American group. For example, you had the Times Square attack, which was by a naturalized American born in Pakistan who was an accountant. You had a woman called Jihad Jain, who was a Muslim convert, who was trying to get folks to attack a Swedish cartoonist. They say that what this means is that these attacks are actually harder to detect if they originate domestically in the U.S., often involving American citizens, and they're smaller scale, they use less communications, and are less likely to be picked up by the intelligence agencies.
Video journalist Adam Ellick reports on Afghan reaction to a Florida pastor's controversial threat to burn the Koran.
This is Adam Ellick reporting from Kabul. I went around town asking Afghans what they think of the ever-changing plans of a pastor in Florida who wants to burn their Muslim holy book known as the Koran. At this market, vendors hadn't even heard of the controversial event. Forget radios and televisions, they don't even have electricity. And like most Afghans, they're too poor to be bothered with world politics. Then I went to this more affluent market on the last night of Ramadan. Here the debate hit closer to home, as some Afghans took a break from their last-minute holiday shopping scramble.
ولو که یک طفل خردسالمان باشه باید قیام بکنه. این قیام ملی و قیام اسلامی باشه. برای از کی یک قدرت است، ایده به نام یک کسی خود شناختن که اینا به هیچ ادیان آسمانی عقیده و به حساب احترام ندارن.
If the burning does happen, people here say the consequences go far beyond America's moral standing.
For the Americans who are in Afghanistan, this will create a big risk for their lives as well, because Muslims will not tolerate this.
My last stop was outside the U.S. Embassy.
We love our religion, and that's why I'm here.
Where I found a few university students.
And why I wrote Obama, he can influence, he can convince him somehow.
Compared to other Muslim nations, Afghans are deeply religious people. For them, the protest isn't about anti-Americanism. It's about Islam. Even among liberal Kabulis, religion here is sacred and personal.
ما نمیخوایم که نکوهش کنیم و بگوییم که مرگ بر امریکا و از این دست شعارها. در قرن 21 اصلا جایگاهی برای تعصب تبعیض این چیزها وجود نداره.
Within minutes, Afghan police disbanded this peaceful protest. And just before these students were taken off to the police station, they shared their frustrations about today's Afghanistan.
My message to Mr. Obama, this is democracy that we have in Afghanistan.
Music, TV, and theater, an arts and leisure preview.
This is a big season for rap releases. You've got Lil Wayne, you've got Kanye West, but I think most importantly, you have Nicki Minaj, who is a young female rapper from Queens. She signed Lil Wayne's label, and she is a true eccentric, both in her rhymes and her presentation. Your Love, which is her first big single, is the first song by a female artist to top the Billboard Rap Singles chart in 8 years.
A show I'm really looking forward to is on the Fox network. It's a sitcom with a great pedigree called Running Wild. It's from the same team of creators that gave us Arrested Development. It's about a supercilious, rich playboy who's the scion of an oil company family, and he's in love with a girl from his past who tries to help Amazon tribes against oil companies like the very one he owns.
It's your tribe!
As you can see, this character is played by Will Arnett, who of course is also one of the stars of Arrested Development, and he's doing what he does best here, playing a kind of arrogant, clueless character, and he does it very well, as always.
A Broadway show I'm really curious about this fall is the new musical Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, starring Patti LuPone, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Sherry Renee Scott, three very big musical theater stars. And it's inspired by the movie by Pedro Almodovar. It's about a group of women falling in and out of love in Madrid, getting revenge on some of the men who have wronged them. And it's been directed by Bart Scher, who directed the hit musical South Pacific.
Join us again next week for another edition of TimesCast.